How many of you guys have seen this? How many of you guys have seen this? That's a price discount. So the price of this hotel was $251, but now the price has gone down. Sorry, it was $279. Now the price have gone down to $251. You see that? So that's a price discount. Why will a hotel give a price discount? What do you think? Yeah, exactly. So the idea is if you bring down the price, you will get more occupancy. There will be more people joining or more people doing more bookings, right? The price drop, the cutting down the price or giving a discount or bringing the price down is something that we do by considering break-even analysis. The decision to drop the price is something that we do with the help of break-even analysis. So it goes as CVP. CVP stands for cost, volume, profit analysis. And the purpose of CVP is we want to know how cost and volume has an impact on the profit, right? Because if you change the cost and the volume, it will have an impact on the profit. Just a quick question. What volume is this? Because you can have production volume as well as sales volume. Guys, in CVP, it's all about sales. So here, when you say volume, it's always the sales volume, right? So let's assume we're doing a kind of a role play. Let's assume we are going with what she just said. Let's say you are playing the role of a manager, and you realize if you are managing a hotel, would you consider offering available rooms at a last minute discount? Yes or no? And that's what we normally see in Expedia, right? And as my friend just said, so if you bring down the price, there will be more bookings. Am I right? Anyone who says no, I will not bring down the price. Even if there was available rooms, there are no people to be in that room, I will still not do that. Like what? There you go. Rocky says reputation matters. Carla, what do you think? The reputation matters, right? Exactly. Sometimes if you want to secure your brand image, you will not put down the price. We are going to look at both spectrums today. Some of you guys would have said yes, right? Some of you guys would have said yes because there are certain costs that has to be paid irrespective of occupants join into the hotel or not. For example, full-time manager's salary has to be paid whether we have guests or not. Am I right? What about the next one? If you have a hotel loan, a property tax, insurance has to be paid? Yes. Irrespective of guests show up or not. Guys, what do we call these cost as? What do we call these cost as? In the world of CVP, do you remember in week number 5 we did cost classification? We categorized cost as direct and indirect. In CVP, we categorize cost not as direct and indirect, but our main classification now is fixed cost, and the opposite of that is variable cost. So the stuff that you saw before is what we call as fixed cost. Why is it called fixed? You have to pay them even if you had 0 occupants or even the occupants went to 1 million. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's called fixed. What about the variable cost? Look at this. Housekeeping and linen. More housekeeping and linen when more occupants are there, right? Toiletries. Cost more toiletries when more occupants are there. Things like shuttle services. Hydro electricity is kind of what we call as a mixed cost. It has a fixed and a variable component both. But it has a variable component. These costs change with what? The number of guests. Am I right? So if it changes with the number of guests, what do we call it as? We call it as a variable cost. Is everyone getting that? So we have two categories. One is variable, the other one is fixed. Four Seasons. Four Seasons. Four Seasons is a luxury hotel, right? Super luxury. And guys, I have some pictures for you. It's a Toronto-based chain, more than 500 five-star properties in 43 countries. And this is how the rooms look like, right? They did not even put down the prices during the mortgage crisis in 2008, 2009. Still they said, no, we are not going to put down the price. And they do have like private jet tours. This is, I guess, in Bali, right? They invited me. I said, no, I have a class to teach today. Sure. But anyway, what we are going to learn today is using CVP, how you decide to drop down the price. It's not something that you can do out of the blue. Like suddenly, oh, we don't have people tomorrow. Can we bring down you can't take the decision like that. You have to ask the management accountant. Now, I'm going to show you today with some calculations how the management accountant takes that decision. You see, that's our learning today. This is a practical application of CVP, right? Now, actually how it happens is, now most of these hotels does it. These are like budget to medium type hotels. So especially a hotel like Best Western Plus in BC. So let's say if you're in the month of January, so 1st of January, 31st January, you might want to know the day you fully cover your fixed cost. Because after you cover your fixed cost, your variable cost, especially in the hospitality industry, anyone who is working in the hospitality industry? No one? The variable cost is super low. Just look at housekeeping and linen, toiletries. These are small costs. The big, gigantic cost is like rent or property taxes, the mortgages that you have to pay, right? The permanent employee salaries. Those are like the most prominent, significant cost elements. The variable costs are like almost next to nothing. So the very moment you cover your fixed costs, now the management accountant can tell the marketing guys, hello, yes, now you can drop down the price, right? You see? So we are going to learn a practical application of that, because once you cover your fixed costs, when you sell after your variable cost, everything contributes to your what? Net profit directly into your pockets. So we're going to see how, that's what we're going to learn today. How is this decision taken, right? Good. Before this, you should know what we call as the CVP income statement. In management accounting, you do start with sales, but as I said, there are only two types of costs. What are they? Fixed and variable. So from that, we remove the variable costs. Sales minus variable cost is called, what is it called? Contribution margin. That's a very important concept. I'll tell you why it's called contribution margin. Everything has a meaning here. You don't need to memorize this. And then from that, you remove the next cost, which is fixed cost, which is your net, which brings to your net income. Let's put a number, guys. Let's assume sales is $1,000. Variable cost is $200. Just forget about the word contribution margin. 100 minus 200, what would we call that? No, 1,000 minus 200. The sales minus 200, what would we call that? No, you cannot call it revenue because revenue is 1,000. So from the revenue, we remove variable cost. I know it's called contribution margin, but if I did not tell you that it was contribution margin, what's the word you will put? We can say, she said net. We could say sales net of variable cost. What? Sales net of variable cost. What do you mean by that? Sales after deducting variable cost. That's what you mean by that. Gross, now you guys work, right? When you work, you get your salary paycheck. You can say gross salary net of deductions. That's why you call it net salary. You have a gross salary and what? And net salary. What's the difference between gross and net? The deductions. So if I say sales net of variable cost, what does that mean? after deducting variable cost. You see what I'm saying? Trevin, why is this called contribution? The $800 is called what? Contribution. Because you want to see sales net of variable costs. How is it contributing to cover your what? How is sales net of variable costs contributing to cover your fixed costs? Let's assume your fixed cost was 500. How much is it? This is 500. So sales net of variable cost is contributing by, it's comfortably covering the 500 and it's covering the fixed cost by an excess of 300, which is your what? Net income. You see what I'm saying? Now what happens if the fixed cost is exactly 800? Sales net of variable costs is contributing exactly to cover your what? Fixed cost. Guys, then your net income is 0. We call this no profit, no loss. No profit, no loss is what we call as break even. What's the English meaning of the word even? What's the English meaning of the word even? Carla, what do you mean by even? Still, anyone else? Flat, 0, 0. Are you doing a rap music? What are you doing here? What is even? It's balance. In other words, even means equal. It's even means it's the same. If you put it to a scale, like you put 2 stones of equal weight, what will happen to the scales? The scale is even. So why is it called break even then? Because at break even, the contribution margin and the fixed cost is the same. You see that? That's why it's called break even. You cover your fixed costs fully. Exactly, you cover your fixed costs. Good. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a small in-class activity. What's the problem here? So you're all playing the role of Delta Hotels. You're playing the role you're playing the role of the finance officer. This guy. You got just the email. Can someone tell me before you discuss, what's the concern here? Like at what point should we give the discount? Yeah, during the off season, in a given month, look at the second paragraph. I seek your insights on determining the optimal juncture of implementing the room rate reductions. At what point? In a given month, at what point? Let's look at the information just so that you understand. So it's just a basic hotel. They only have one category of rooms, so just one product. How much are they selling a room for? $250. Okay. Variable cost is $80. Fixed cost is $306,000. We understand that. And I've given you guys some examples, right? Number of rooms, they have 250. What's their target for a month? They target to sell 4,000 rooms. But the problem is there is a occupancy rate during the off-peak season. It's only how much? 50%. That's the problem, right? So although for a day you can sell 250, how much is your occupancy? 50% of that, which means how much? 125, exactly. 125. I'm sure you guys did the first two. Let's look at your answers. How much is the selling price of a room? So all this information is in the attachment, right? That's 250, yes. And how much is your variable cost of a room? 80, right? And that gives you a contribution margin of $170, right? Guys, this is easy. Now, contribution is always selling price minus variable cost. We understood that. But the thing is, you should be able to interpret. I always bring this SkyTrain example. If you met someone at the SkyTrain, how would you explain $170 for that person? What simply means is, it's for a room night, right? So when you sell one room night or when you sell one room, you generate $170. It's easy to remember that way. Sales net of variable cost is contribution, right? You generate $170, which is sales net of variable costs to cover what? How much is your fixed cost? How much is your fixed cost? For the period, right? Monthly fixed cost is 306,000. So when you sell one room, you cover how much? $170. When you sell two rooms, $170 into 2. The more rooms you sell, you're going to cover your fixed cost by 170. At one point, you're going to cover all the 306,000. That's your break-even point. Did you see that? How many rooms should we sell to cover the entire fixed cost? Guys, this is the formula. The very next thing that you have. That formula is there, right? So what's the formula? The break-even point, fixed cost, divided by the contribution margin for one room. So how much is your fixed cost? 306,000 divided by 170. There you go. So what's your answer? Okay, now you should be able to explain this to me. Who wants to do that? Absolutely. There's nothing to change there. If you want, you can write down what she said. When you sell 1,800 rooms, you cover your entire fixed cost. Period. Sava, what if we don't trust you? You heard what Sava said, right? What if we don't trust you? He said, maybe Carla says, I don't trust what Sava said. Okay, you can say, I'll prove it to you. Okay, I'll prove it to you. Do you guys see in the next page, I have something called the CVP statement? Do you guys see that? Do you guys see this one? The CVP statement? Okay. We will prove it to you. Okay, what did Zava say? When 1,800 rooms are sold, you cover the fixed cost, right? Okay. When you sell one room, how much of contribution do you get? $170. So how many rooms did Zava say you should sell? 1,800. So from one room, if you generate $170, if you sell 1,800 rooms, 170 into 1,800, eh? And how much is that? 306. And how much is your fixed cost? 306. There you go. 306 is 0. See that? So Zava, that's what you do if someone says, I don't trust you. You can prove it to the CVP income statement. So I'm going to show this summary in a graph. So what are the two graphs? What's the vertical axis? The dollar sign. It can be cost and revenue both. What's the horizontal axis? Room nights. Sales. What are we selling? What are we selling? Rooms, right? So room nights. Can someone tell me why is the red line starting from 0? Like why is it starting from 0? Exactly. If you don't sell any rooms, you don't get any revenue. The more rooms you sell, the more revenue, right? Is everyone getting the red line now? Let's look at the other one. The yellow and the blue. Why is the yellow line parallel to the horizontal axis? That's the fixed cost. Like why is it going up? Like why is it going down? It's 306,000. Because doesn't matter how many room nights you sell, this cost will always remain the same. We looked at some example like loan, mortgages, fixed employee salaries, insurance. You can't tell the insurance, sorry, we didn't have any customers, so we won't pay insurance. Can you say that? No. Like your car insurance. Even if you don't drive, any kilometer you have to pay insurance, right? Fixed cost. Why is the blue line starting from the point of the yellow line? Why isn't the blue line starting from the origin? Okay, we'll get your answer, but Priya, what do you think? First of all, what is the blue line? Exactly. And what's the blue line? Total cost. Total cost combines variable and because of the fixed cost, it starts from here. But as you move forward, it goes up because of variable cost. You see that? Good. Now let's see. Guys, look at this part. I don't know whether you guys could color that part, but I don't think because of the black. I know next time I have to change it, but that's okay. This part right here, maybe you can put an arrow or something like that. Some students are like, why the hell did you put black? I didn't put black. I just took a screenshot. That's what happened. For me to put this back again, I'll have to draw those graph again, and it's going to be the end of the world. But you guys could look at this. Guys, what's this part right here? The red line is above. If you sell here, the red line is above the blue line. What's that? Profits. Exactly. There you go. It's a profit. That's the profit. Anyway, don't worry. That will be available in the video. I'm sorry, Carla? Okay, we are going to come to that. We are going to come to that very soon. Carla is like, no, I want somehow to know the break-even point. Yeah, you're right, actually. Absolutely. But before that, Carla, if we come to this point, where the blue line is above the red line, what's that? This one here. That's a loss. Isn't it? If you sell, that means you're making a loss. And now we come to Carla's point, which is where the blue line intersects the red line. And what do you call that as? That's called the break-even point. There you go. Which is how much, guys? 1,800. And it was 1,800 rooms, right? Yeah, it was 1,800 rooms. There you go. It was 1,800 rooms. And you can say break-even rooms. There you go. Break-even. And the break-even sales is how much? 450,000. Yeah, 450,000. There you go. How much are they planning to sell? 4,000. Did you see that? That's in the attachment. They plan to sell 4,000, but how much should they sell for break-even? Only 1,800. So the green line that you see over here is the amount that they're planning to sell. Right? Now, if they really sell above 4,000, no one will complain. Because the more you sell, the more profits you are going to get. Do you see that? It goes like this. But if you sell below 4,000, what happens? You have the risk of first breaking even, and then if you go further down, you're going to make a what? A loss. Did you see that? So now we calculate something. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question to see how well you understood this. From 4,000, what's the maximum drop they could bear where they don't make a loss? Since we are done with that, now let's look at if it was the month of January, at what day can we tell the marketing guys, okay, on this day, you can cut down the price? How do we take that decision? So let's say the month of January. Okay. Average rooms per day. 250 into 50%, 125 rooms. Yeah, 125 rooms. Okay. Number of, that means for a day we can sell how many rooms? 125, right? Number of rooms to break even. How many rooms to break even? 1,800 rooms for a month, eh? 1,800 rooms for a month. Okay. Therefore, that's the question that they're asking. Number of days to break even. How do you calculate that, guys? 1800 is for the month, and for a day we can sell 125. So 1800 divided by 125, right? I have shared this on Brightspace. You can take a look at it. There is a nice case study by a professor in Ryerson University. His name is Gabor Forgacs. He wrote a nice article called the Room Rate Conundrum. What is it called? The Room Rate Conundrum, the leap from tactical to strategic. And he talks about this exact thing. But his point of view is, wait a minute. So you're telling me that if there are no guests for the hotels tomorrow, you look at your break-even analysis and drop the price? Is that your magical gesture or the solution when you don't have people? Right? So he brings a different point. What he's trying to say is, like, if you do that, you're becoming like what? He uses this word. What is he called? A lazy revenue manager. Like, you are like so lazy. Okay, we don't have, drop down the price. Because instead of becoming a lazy revenue manager, what you can do is, you can do what? A product development. What does that mean? Like, you can, without saying that, okay, we are bringing down the price, make people want to buy your product. Like what? Now, for example, if you take, like, I see some of you guys are wearing Apple Watches, right? The Apple Watch is just another watch. Now, this looks like a clock, but that's okay. Apple Watch is just another watch, but they have some cool features, right? You can do this, you can do that. It calculates your blood pressure. It will tell you that you're going to die in 5 minutes. No, it doesn't say that. But that's how it is, right? So he said, bring those cool features to the rooms. And he gives some suggestions. Look at this. He says, why don't you guys have charging docks in your rooms? Right? A charging dock. Very valuable. And I 100% agree. Last year, for Thanksgiving, I was in Paris. I was there for a conference. 8-hour flight, and then you go to your hotel. What's the first thing that you want? You want to charge your phone. I only had the charging phone that we have in North America. And that 2-pin thing does not go into the Paris room. They have a different thing. They have a different pin. Oh my goodness. And then I called the reception and said, do you guys sell charging pins? Yes, sir, it's just €5. I said, even if it was €50, I said, without this phone, I don't know how to move around. So I go there and they engage. But it was much more easier for me if they had in the room, had this, right? All what I have to do is just come in, put it. That's it. It charges. Another point that he brings into the table is, he says, okay, this is what I suggest you to do, but if you do what you're doing, like bringing down the price, there's another problem. Another problem is, it's hard to reverse. Guys, think about this. The room was, let's say, $250. You bring the room price to $180. And then you have to bring it back to $250. So a customer is like, wait a minute. Same door, same TV, same bed sheet, same washroom, same water, same TV channels. Why the hell am I paying more? So it's hard to reverse because it's the same thing, right? And the other problem is, it might attract bad clients. People who are looking budget for everything. Can I take this pillow home? So no, you can't take the pillow home. Can I take the spoon home at least? No, you can't take the spoon home. Do we have free breakfast? So it comes at a cost. Free dinner? So nothing is free here. You might attract bad clientele. You see that? And he says, bringing down the price should be the option of last resort. That means if you have done everything and it still doesn't work, then cut down the price.